faster than the time it takes to brew a cup of tea.
High Tea Mystique reminds you that no experience is too big or too small to teach us something about ourselves.
Join us for a cup of tea as we steep into adulting, womanhood, independence, and more.
And we're on.
And we're live from New York. It's Saturday night.
On Thursday, the way they do it.
The
Do
way
they
do
do
it.
I don't watch it.
Yeah.
Saturday night
I'm sorry.
live.
They film
I'm
on
not
Thursday.
cultured in that way.
Is there any part of SNL that's actually live?
I mean, it's unedited
It's unedited.
for the most part.
Okay. I guess like us.
Yeah, for the most part. That's valid.
Like us.
Just like us.
We are
Just-
SNL.
I remember when I first drank green tea, I used to put honey in it. And now I look back and think about what a disgusting human being I was. Putting honey in my green tea.
All the Brits out there are gonna have a problem with us.
They have a problem with honey too. Yeah,
don't
they
like
put
sugar in my
milk in
plants.
their tea. You know, but I'm actually thinking, do they put sugar in their tea? Because I think they just put milk.
Hello? Sugar cubes?
That's right. They do
Would you
put
like
sugar in
one
their
or two
tea.
cubes?
Yeah, they do put sugar in their tea. We haven't really. Oh no, we have used sweeteners in our tea. Yeah, we have.
We who?
We've used sweeteners.
Maybe Pam didn't, but maybe we had it in
No,
ours.
I'm pretty sure you did it for all of us.
Yeah, I think I
Yeah.
might have given her a drop of agave before.
Yeah.
A single drop.
Yeah.
Well, you may have asked for a single drop.
Yeah.
What I gave you for discussion.
Oh
please, you love.
Blasphemy.
Oh no.
Oh,
no.
Oh
Oh no.
What?
Tuesday, isn't it?
It's Tuesday.
I'm-
Not.
It's not Tuesday.
Shall we get into it then?
Yes.
Yes.
What? Hey, everybody. Welcome back.
Hey.
Welcome, welcome.
Welcome.
As you all just love so much, here we are for anyone viewing in a brand new location, at least to your eyes.
Hey. At least to your eyes.
Yes,
is
Pam,
true.
welcome. Tell us about our location for today.
It is my humble abode. Welcome to me bed.
Yeah.
Me comfy bed
Welcome.
for a comfy episode.
In a pajama party.
Pajama party.
We are
Pajama
also
party.
in some really nice comfy clothes.
Mhm.
We can't wait to share what we're talking about today with you all. You guys might be listening to us in the morning on your drive to work. You guys might be listening to us as you wind down for the day, maybe as you're getting out of work, kind of like stuck in traffic. So thank you for choosing us as your like soothing device for that. But for us, we are recording this episode in the evening. So to kind of like match the vibe, we wanted to just do what we do normally at night. So we're all in our comfy PJs.
Yep.
Our little pajama party.
Pajama party.
Welcome to the pajama party. You
Yes.
need to have your pajama on.
Yeah, so just take a second, pause this video, pause this recording, go ahead and change into your pajamas. If you're in the car, you got to do it. you
We'll
know.
wait.
Just use your imagination. It'll magically be real.
Yes.
Wink.
Yes.
Wink at our topic. Wink.
Yeah.
Wink. Hard wink.
Topic. What a great segue. Thank you, ladies. So today's topic is a really fun one. We wanted to just kind of match this very comfy, cozy vibe. And so we are going to be talking about childhood and magic. So today's episode is called The Magic of Childhood. Now, before we get into the episode, we're going to talk about what was magical to us when we were little, if there's any of that that we've held on to as we've gotten older, and if there's any of that that we've kind of just like let go naturally, right, as is life, and just share some little anecdotes of our own that kind of helped create this for us along the way. And to pair with this lovely topic, we have tonight's tea.
Yes.
So, Pam, can you just remind us exactly the flavor of this tea? And then
So tonight in our, for those of you who can't see, in our beautiful Spider-Man cups that magically change colors with the cold, we have a mix We brewed some raspberry herbal tea and chamomile tea together, and then we let it cool down. Added some ice, and it tastes real good.
It is. It's delicious, and we love a good blend. The
Yum,
best
yum,
part
yum.
about blends is that you can kind of mix not only the flavor profiles, but also the benefits of what those teas have. And it's so cool when you can blend teas that offer the same types of benefits too, to kind of just like double it, triple it. And so with the raspberry tea, um, raspberry is a really, really powerful antioxidant, right? We know that berries will always offer antioxidants. But the other cool thing about raspberry is it's considered to be one of like the female anatomy's strongest fruits. So raspberry is a great thing to have at any point in time when you're on your period. It's going to soothe menstrual cramps, and that's just from the natural acids inside of the berry. And it's also there are studies, but haven't many things that have been proven to support or not. So it's more of like urban legend, but that when you do consume raspberries while you're pregnant, it can help to lead you to having a healthier pregnancy and may also, towards the end of your pregnancy, induce labor if you're somebody who might be going a little bit over your due date.
Wow.
Yeah. Really,
That's
really
really cool.
powerful stuff.
That's fantastic for me right now. I mean, not that I'm pregnant.
You're inducing labor.
The first part, menstrual
Yeah,
cramps.
for the cramps. Yeah,
That's-
something that can soothe from within.
Yes, I love that for me right now.
Mhm. And then blend that in with the chamomile that you ladies picked out.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, chamomile, you've got beautiful flowers providing nothing but relaxation, slowing down the brain, and just providing like a natural soothing. Gonna be nice and coating, like a mild coating that you'll happen in your throat. And just a delicious, very light, almost vanilla like flavor. So it blends so well with just about any other flavor tea that you use.
Perfect for our cozy episode.
Yes, I agree.
Cozy.
So with that, let's go ahead and dive in, ladies.
I'm ready.
Woo!
I'm excited.
Cheers.
Cheers to Spider-Man cups.
Spider-Man magical cup.
Woo! Magical cups. They're color changing.
They change with the cold.
Yeah. What was your favorite superhero when you guys were kids? I really did love Spider-Man.
You know,
I love Spider-Man too because I was drawn into those Tobey Maguire movies. That was me. I loved him.
I didn't really like the superhero movies that we had growing up. The only thing that I liked were the Power Rangers. And my
Word.
favorite was the White Ranger. I hated the Pink Ranger for two reasons. Number one, she was the White Ranger's main love interest. And so little
That is
Pam
very
was really
true.
jealous. But number two, as a Power Ranger, she really was a damsel in distress too many times. And I would get really frustrated as a little girl and think, I don't get it. She's a Power Ranger. Why can't she just be good at kicking butt?
You make
You heard
such
that?
good points,
You
Pam.
heard that, showrunners? Made a mistake.
You make really
For
good points,
real.
but the Pink Power Ranger was my favorite. And I feel like it says a lot about us as people. Not that I'm a damsel in distress, but
It says
that
a lot about
I
us.
empathize with the damsel in distress more than I guess, empathize with the White Ranger, because I looked at him as like he's the hero, he's the main, like main character energy.
Oh no, Pam just saw he's cute. And I loved him. But I loved the Yellow Ranger. She kicked ass. Oh my God. I was like,
She's
why
who I
can't
like
you be
more
more like
now.
her?
Yeah, for sure.
But
Like when I
yeah.
rewatch it, I'm like, yeah, it should have been yellow from the start, but I
Yeah.
was just, this was the Pink Ranger for me.
That's how I felt about
I think that's
Daisy.
because I was the youngest.
You know, Daisy was Yellow Ranger vibes and Peach was Pink Ranger vibes. Just saying.
And you chose Daisy.
I always chose Daisy in Mario Kart. Mario
Wow.
Party. Yeah. Daisy Stan.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to ask about like superheroes and stuff because we have our cups. And the first question that we're going to kind of dive into today is the question of when you were little, like where was the magic for you, and what was magical for you in your eyes, right? Like take a second, kind of go back in time, right? Allow yourself to do that, right? Before any knowledge of what the world was, right? Like really like, and what you would learn throughout the years, right? Like let's try to think back to kindergarten, first grade, any younger, if you can really take your mind all the way back there. And like, what were those moments in life where you really just felt almost like you had been taken out, right? Like, wow, I don't deserve to see this and like experience this. And it could have been something extremely mundane, right? What we know now, but what was magical for you then? Um, Super cool one. You want to
Can I
start
go?
us off, Pam?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's go for it.
So when I was little, a couple of things, right? So a vivid memory that I have is again based off the Power Rangers movie. There's a scene where the lady that they meet once they lose their powers, it's like in the jungle, and she's this old spirit because she transformed into an owl. But when she's giving the Power Rangers their powers, she's like blowing this glitter powder at them, and then they get their powers. And when I was little, I would like copy that. I would just, it's everything that I would see like from shows and things like that, right? So that I remember grabbing glitter. I'm sure my mother hated me for this because I had carpet back then. So I grabbed my Barbie dolls and grabbed glitter and was like blowing it at them so they could get magic. And then I also remember in the Jackie Chan movies, I mean, I'm sorry, not the movie, the show, Jade, there's an episode where Jade kind of draws a tattoo on a paper and puts water on it, and then like the tattoo transferred to her skin and she had powers. And I tried doing that when I was little, and I got really upset when the transferring didn't work. So I was like, oh my God, I can't get my powers. And then the last thing that I'll say is when I was little, and I still believe this to this day, I super believed in Santa Claus. Like, if there's anything that's magical or that I remember being incredibly magical when I was little, was Christmas. Because, you know, it's the wonder and the families together, and you get excited for all of the gifts that just magically appear. And every year, I would write a letter to Santa Claus that I wanted a dog for Christmas. I never got that. And when I was starting to question if Santa was real, there was one Christmas where I will remember it vividly. I was in my room. Back then, I shared rooms with my sister. And my mom had come up the stairs to tell us, okay, it's time to start opening the presents because I'm Peruvian, right? I'm from a Peruvian Japanese background, and I practice more Hispanic, I guess, way of opening presents. And so we open presents at midnight once we put baby Jesus in the nativity set and all of that. And so my mom was like, oh, come downstairs. It's time to open the presents. And we went downstairs. We did everything. I saw my mom go downstairs. I never saw her go back up. When she came upstairs, she didn't have anything in her hands. When I came back upstairs, so we went downstairs, we did the whole thing. We opened all the presents. We played with some toys. And then my mom was like, okay, let's go upstairs and see if Santa left you any gifts. And lo and behold, Pam's tiny little brain was blown because there was a gift on my bed. And I was trying so hard. I'm a very, as Tess knows, logical person. And I was trying so hard to calculate, how did my mom do this? My mom couldn't have done this. My dad couldn't have done this. Everybody was downstairs. Nobody came upstairs. And I think I was like 10, right? And I got American Girl books. It's not a gift that it's not a gift that I would have wanted, but just the fact that it came out of nowhere. And I was like, first I was filled with wonder with how that got there. But then my second thought was, but why would Santa think I want these books? This isn't what I asked for.
The other part of logical Pam.
Yeah.
Yes, there you go, logical Pam.
Yeah. And then the last part where I have magic again with in terms of what I would follow, right? The things that I would see. This pillow that I have with me, strategically placed. So for those of you who aren't watching the video, I have this beautiful, what are these called? Throw pillows? Decorative pillow?
Let's go with
right?
that. Throw pillow.
Definitely decorative. Could be more
Decorative.
specific, but decorative takes it.
Decorative pillow of Kiki from Kiki's Delivery Service, which those of you who don't know is a Studio Ghibli animated film that centers around a witch and her rite of passage. And that movie was, I can watch it on repeat nonstop. I will never get bored of it. And the magic that shows up there and the way that her mom practices magic is very similar to the magic that you may see now, right? Like herbalism or things like that. It's just even like the sprinkling, right? Of she's creating something with intention and making potions I loved potion making. I would play with like my shampoo bottles as a kid and brew my own potions. Like that was all the magic that I would always be having everywhere as a child. And I remember all of that so vividly because it was my favorite part of being a kid.
And when you were doing this, did you really feel like as you were creating it that it like did you feel that it was the real thing that you were making?
Oh yeah. I mean, I think a part of me secretly understood that maybe nothing would really change, but the magic of being in the moment and how it felt to me in that moment of how it was so real. I mean, even if I think back to when you were mentioning, right, when it might be hard to remember when you were kindergarten, even if I would go to the playground or outside in the world would look so big and so expansive. And I would think, wow, like this is amazing. I didn't know this could be this big or that things happen this way. Like I could go into a bank and the fact that it looks so huge and there's all these interesting people that I don't know and what are they doing? And that looks interesting. Are they doing magic back there? Like, and they could probably just be like typing on the computer, you
I'm just
know?
doing my job,
But
kid.
it's what you were looking for. You were
Right.
creating that reality.
Exactly. Like that was just it. That was and everything and anything that I saw. And I think it's really just because since you're so small and you have such limited knowledge of the world, um, it just everything becomes magic to you, you know? And it's especially because everything is so big and so mysterious. And you just want to know everything, right? It's like if you think little kids when they're 2 or 3, my little nephew right now, ¿por qué? ¿Por qué? ¿Por qué?
Oh,
Why?
man.
Why?
It's happening. Yeah.
Yeah.
Super important stage.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love that. And I love the Kiki's delivery service is such a beautiful way to like, what a beautiful introduction for you to like really be stricken by that film. To have seen it when you were so little too.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I didn't watch Studio Ghibli until I was in high school.
No, that
Like
was
I
a
watched it as a
staple.
cinephile, you know, just like learning about cinema, but I was raised Baptist Christian, so there were so many things that I wasn't allowed to see in my house. And so some of that wonder is lost for me, but I'm very happy
Aw.
that you had it for you. No, it's okay. I got it in my life.
Good.
Just not a part of my childhood. But yeah, I know we have another
Whoop.
yes, Catholic
The
raised in the
other
house over
side
here
of
on
the
the right.
bed.
Yeah. Hey, how are things looking over here?
It's funny because
Ooh, tea's run empty over
I
there, I see.
know. I'm sorry, guys.
It's a hit.
Too good. It's too good. I thought of Christmas too, because of course, you know, so much lore, so much magic being thrown around. And when I was listening to Pam, I thought of something else that specifically because you asked Kat about, you know, what took you out of a moment. For me, um, after Christmas, I started thinking more, and then you said that comment, and I thought playing pretend. Playing pretend was so magical for me. And I'm not gonna lie, you know, I'll touch on it later too, but I still do it today in a different way. But when I did it as a kid, I did it with all my cousins and specifically family, of course, because we're around them more as kids. My cousins and I would literally especially because we grew up with anime too, and I grew up with Sailor Moon from literally as far as I can remember. We would be like elemental magic. We would assign each other elements
Yes.
and
like
we would pretend to like, you know, I'm the water warrior, so splash. You know?
I love
And
kind of
of
like Winx
course,
Club.
exactly, and Pokemon, really, right? You know, because
Yeah.
we got our move titles from Pokemon, and we got our figures from animes and cartoons, and we would literally just be running around a backyard, but it felt like a whole other world, and it was just being, you know, around my cousins and my kid cousins that were my age or a little bit older, a little bit younger, but we all wanted to be elemental warriors throwing magic powers around. And I remember specifically when I was a kid, I was, of course, like I said, I was deeply fascinated with Sailor Moon. I wanted to be everyone in Sailor Moon. And my cousin assigned me the power of love. And I was like, what am I gonna do with that? And then I remember my cousin telling me, like, figure it out, and then ran away, came back and hit me with a splash. And I was like, and I thought of
What a
Sailor
bully.
Venus, and I was like, chain of love. And that was magical. I completely forgot that I was, you know, a 5 or 6 year old running around throwing empty wrist gestures at each other. And we had powers. And that was honestly a really magical time, being around. And I had a lot of cousins growing up. Every weekend I would be with my cousins, and it was like 7, 10 kids around the same age, all hanging out and playing with each other. So it was fantastic. And I think even going on to being around my cousins, we had a whole block to each other pretty much, because all of their parents, like my aunts and uncles, lived on the same street. So we got to hop from like backyard to backyard to backyard. It was like we had so much free range, and it was a really magical. It just took me out. Like I was in the middle of Westchester, but I felt like I was in a whole other world.
Westchester.
Yeah, Westchester. But I honestly felt like I was traveling somewhere off this, like, routine life. Even as a kid, I just felt like I was going somewhere else. I was with my cousins, and we would, of course, it's interrupted with things like church, right? But when we got back home, man, it was just play and wonder, and just bringing up things from our shows and our loves, and things that we just wanted to emulate. And it was things that we let each other emulate with each other, because they all knew Chain of Love, and they were like, oh, lame, and they would die. Even though that was my move, they would die because they knew Sailor Venus too. So
They
it
were in
was,
that universe with
they
you.
knew the universe. So I think
You can't go against what the universe says.
I know, kids being in each other's universes.
And just accepting it, like, yeah, well, you're right.
I've seen the move. I know I'm dead.
And what I also think is just like so impressive and like gives me like butterflies thinking about is the coolest part is that you guys were all just so accepting of this world.
Yeah.
Like as kids, and I know I'm making that sound so much more than it is, right? Because as kids, it's like obviously, right? We're playing, we're just joining in on the game. But if you think about it, like maybe you can kind of pinpoint those memories where you think about the one cousin who like wasn't about that stuff, right? The one cousin who was like inside, with the adults or whatever. And then you think about it and it's like their childhood looks different than yours.
Yeah, definitely the magic is elsewhere for them. But that's the wonder of this, right?
The magic of playtime. Honestly, when you said that, it was something that I was planning on bringing up. So it was perfect that you brought that up. One of the things that one of my personal philosophies really is I will never say no to playing with a kid. Because I remember when I was little, right, about 10 years old again, one of my older family friend cousins, she was starting to be a teenager. She was 13. But before, she would play with me and she would play pretend and all of that stuff. And I remember going over my uncle's house and I wanted to play with her and I wanted to play shopkeep. And she told me, no, I don't want to play. And I remember thinking and sitting there as a little kid in an existential crisis, thinking, did I do something wrong? What did I do? Like, what changed? What's different? I don't understand. And as I grew older, I just understood now, obviously, oh, she was just older. She was a teenager and she thought, she didn't want to play anymore. That's okay. But when I was little and when I was a kid, I didn't understand that. And so every single time, like, when my other family friend cousins were small, like I always played with them. Doesn't matter what it was, what they wanted to do. Yes, I'm playing, because that's the part that hurts me the most is when people break the magic for the child before they're ready. Because they could just have that for the rest of their lives if they wanted to. Life doesn't, they'll learn about all the life hard stuff, but it's hard, I think, to recuperate that magic back from you once it's broken. So that's just a personal philosophy of mine with playtime.
Yeah, absolutely. And it speaks to how much you were given that access to.
Mm-hmm.
Like you want to keep the magic alive at least as long as it was alive for you. And like you hope to extend it, but we can only do so much until we are mothers ourselves one day, if we choose to do so.
How about you?
Yeah. For me, I think There were definitely two things that stand out. Christmas is in within one of them
Mhm.
because I totally agree. I think that there's something in the air when the holidays come around, and it started when I was a child. I think it helped that my mom's favorite holiday was Christmas, and my mom is the type of mom to decorate the entire house. Like my mom has multiple rooms in her house. She'll tell you she just has one, but there are multiple rooms that store holiday decorations because she decorates for St. Patrick's Day. Like we decorate for everything, and I say we because it's transferred onto me. But for me, I think that what was the most magical, and you guys have kind of shown little waves of that. I know it's true for you too. Was just family. I think that when I was a child, I had my best friends in school, but it was my family. Because every summer break, I didn't even think about school. I didn't even think about, Christmas break, spring break, summer break. That was for family, and during the week after school, I was going home to play with my family. And I was an only child until I was 10. So I only had my cousins, like I didn't have any siblings or anything like that. So I definitely played American Girl. Those are like my little friends, but my cousins played American Girl, and I would get so excited for them to come over and we would play together and um create those little worlds with each other. But it was also that feeling of like you just felt so full. And there was something magical about like being in a room full of people as such a little youngster. And I was the youngest in my family, right? So I was an only child with my mom, but I was also the youngest of all of my cousins who lived in Miami. And so I knew that whenever my cousins were coming over, I knew I was going to get picked on. But I also knew I had like my cousins who had my back, and I knew that we were going to have fun as long as as long as everyone was there, it was going to be incredible. Like you could not break that energy. And it was the moment they came in the door. We just run and go do our own thing. And that was like, it just made me so confident as a kid, like when my family was a rock, nothing could stop me. And yeah, that's magic to me. And then the other instance of something that I think was magical for me as a kid were dreams. I think that I have memories today of a lot of like early dreams from when I was a young child. Um, and I think the reason why they stick with me is because they showed me how insane the inside of my brain is, and like the places that I can go and the places that I can take myself in my head with my own creativity, and like having those dreams and realizing, like, oh my God, no one else has that. Like, that's just me. I created that, and like when it first started happening, I remember like becoming obsessed with like going to bed and like wanting to dream, and like going through that whole, and this like as a little child, like one of one of the memories I have was in kindergarten because I had my very first, and it's only happened to me as a child and then once more as an adult when I was like 23. I had a continuous dream where I went to bed one night and I had a dream, and then I woke up and I went back to bed the next night and the dream continued from that same spot, right? Or at least in memory that I have, that's what it was. And it was a 3-day long dream with like a conclusion at the end. And it was actually kind of scary. Like there were moments where it really felt like a nightmare. And like after the second night, it felt like a nightmare. And I was actually kind of scared to go back to bed to for the thoughts that I was creating, and in the end, oh my goodness, it was ridiculous. It was like a super hilarious sweet ending where the thing that I thought was haunting me was Casper the Friendly Ghost
Oh
in my
my
closet. I
god.
know.
I love Casper.
Not
When you said that,
Casper.
another great movie that really made me think that I could be a real witch was When Casper Meets Wendy with Hilary Duff in it. If you haven't
Oh
seen it,
yes,
it's so good. It's
that
such a
movie's
cute
really good.
movie. I love it.
The world really needs more Casper. Casper should come
I
back.
know. Yes, that was a great
The
one.
kids need him.
Yeah, just to show that something scary doesn't have to be necessarily bad.
Yeah,
But
exactly. Yeah, and like that's what was so interesting about like experiencing something like that as such a young child. And then like kind of like, oh my gosh, every time it comes up, you talk about that cool memory. And then when it happened to me again as an adult, I was like, holy crap. I can't believe that my brain like still holds this power. you know, that these things can still happen to me. I thought it was like a fleeting moment as a child, you know, of like having that experience. Um, and so yeah, so I always thought like I loved dreams, and I always got excited about dreams and
I think our next episode should be about dreams.
just dreams.
Just
Dreams,
dreams.
dreams, dreams,
Sh-
dreams,
Sharing the
dreams,
dreams we've had.
Yeah. Hey, you guys decide. I'll share more about what my
Yeah.
what my continuous dream was.
Yeah, that's a shout out to Shark Boy and Lava Girl, by the way.
Yes, it
You
was.
remember his lullaby?
Oh,
Dreams, 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 dreams,
Yeah.
dreams.
Wow. Such an interesting movie.
That
Oh,
was a
Taylor.
terrible
Really good
movie.
movie.
We
You
said
know.
really good and terrible at the same time.
No, I said,
I'm
oh,
so
Taylor.
sorry.
No,
Oh,
she
you
said
said
terrible.
I said terrible. Yeah, I did.
So we said terrible Taylor and
You know, but
really good. At
we
the
were
same time.
children and we accepted him.
Hey, I thought that
It was
good when I
magical.
little.
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
It really was magical.
yeah.
I thought Lava Girl was so
Lava
pretty. I
Girl.
was like, I
Lava
want
Girl.
pink hair.
What was that
Yeah.
actress's name? She was amazing.
I thought it was the same actress that did Spy Kids.
No, it's not.
And
but
I was
that's
like,
another magical
wait.
movie.
It's not?
But that's the magic of technology. No, it's not. It's somebody else.
Exactly.
It's somebody
I thought
else.
for sure it was.
Nope.
It's not.
But she is a great actress from Spy Kids.
Hey Siri, who is the actress from Shark Boy and Lava Girl? This is off the mic, but we're just checking for the only Taylor Lautner pops up when I look for the actress.
We're searching for actors in Shark Boy and Lava
Alright,
Girl. And
well,
only
you know
Shark
what?
Boy matters.
You guys let us know who's the actress from Shark Boy and Lava Girl. We can't remember
Yeah.
her name, but
Her
we
name.
know that she's different from Spy Kids.
Now.
Can't remember her name either.
Oh man.
So, that was fun. I think kind of like dissecting that first question, and it's so refreshing to hear like similarities when we all grew up so differently, you know, but those
Yeah.
fundamentals of life are the same, and how interesting that what is the most magical about life for us were the simplest things that we did.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, that are just like
And talk about movies, right? Some of us have talked about movies. Man, I won't get into that because we'll be here for another hour and a half. But movies had such an impact on me as a kid. Like that was also a time where I was like, I can sit here and be in another world. Don't
Oh,
talk to
yeah.
me. Don't talk over me.
Never
Don't talk to
ending
me.
story. Twitches. Twitches was a
Yes.
big one for
oh,
me.
Twitches.
I
What you
love
do?
watching
Mhm.
movies as a kid. Harry Potter? Are you kidding me? When I
Yeah.
left that theater, I was 6 years old speaking in a British accent.
Oh,
I was leaving Dolphin Mall, okay, where we used to have to line up outside to wait for the movie wait to be let into the theater. 'Cause there's no such thing as reserved seating back then.
That's true.
And I would literally come out and still be in Hogwarts and still be in that world because the movie just had such power over
yeah,
me.
you really were transported. in those films.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's very true. I had such an interesting experience with Harry Potter because I technically still wasn't allowed to watch it. So I watched them all scattered at friends' sleepovers
That's hilarious.
and out of order.
Out of
Until-
order.
Well, technically, still to this day, I guess I haven't properly watched them in order, but I have seen all of them. And the last one I saw was the 8th part 2. You know, so like I have seen the last one that I saw was the last one.
Okay.
So I
good.
at least saw the last one. In
At
order.
least there's
it's not like
that,
there was another one I hadn't seen yet.
Yeah, you experienced the same finale we all
Imagine if
did.
you
Yeah.
saw the first one last.
Oh, that'd be insane.
That would be cruel.
A world of difference. I'd be like, wait, how many years have passed? That's a shock.
Is this his son?
That's a hard sell.
This is the
That's
sequel
not-
everyone keeps talking about.
Oh my god.
Facial hair. 5 o'clock shadow. Anyway, all right. So the next question, and Tess, I would love for you to start this one for us.
Yeah. Hit me.
Is more on
Not actually.
kind of like I think this is what I think will be different for us. It's the question of like magic, actual magic.
Mm.
You know, like practical magic, like we're talking like creating spells, but also like things that alter our perception of reality. Did you
Mm.
believe in magic when you were a kid?
So this is interesting, right? Because I'm going to kind of harp in the fact that my family was very religious. But my grandmother, and honestly, my religion, I won't put all the blame on her, kind of made it like a subliminal thing that, like, these things that are supernatural and have power kind of exist under God, because of Satan, and he kind of, and in Catholicism, which I say because that's just my background, but maybe Kat can confirm it was other stories in her background too, like transformed, right, into creatures. And this is how he tested Jesus, and this is how Jesus overcame some temptations, right? So it's kind of subliminal to kids that power, right? And I mean, kids that grew up in religion, at least in that religion, they receive kind of a message that, oh yeah, that exists because that's part of the story of God. So if God is real, so are all these supernatural things. However, I did not have a really negative feeling of it, even though, of course, there are a lot, and I'm sure because even in my school, we got letters sent home for like movies that came out telling parents not to take their kids to watch it because, it's sacrilege and things like that. But my mom and my dad kind of, I don't know if they went against things, but maybe they just loved the art more than the possible, like, do's and don'ts. Or maybe they just, were too tired. And they were like, if this is going to get her to leave me alone for an hour and a half, I'll take it. So,
That was such a eloquent way of saying like the reality of parenting versus how much thought and effort we think goes into it all the
exactly.
time.
Like, come on,
Hashtag
man.
iPad kids.
Yeah, come on, man. They're tired, okay? They just need a break. And back then, if you put a movie in front of me, don't talk to me.
She's good for 90 minutes, folks.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know
I'm
what's
gonna make dinner and
crazy?
do
I
laundry.
feel like kids now can't watch movies.
No, it's harder now, man. It's harder now. Did you say, yeah, iPad kids? I mean, even the
Yeah.
iPad kind of loses their
Because
attention
when you
too.
said that, that's true. When I was little, pluck a movie and I would not move. Like that
Exactly.
would capture my attention for the entirety of the movie.
Yeah. Yeah. But and of course, to go back to what Kat was asking, on those movies, right before Harry Potter, I had seen Kiki also very young. And honestly, as a kid, I was like, that looks too real and too close to real life, not for me to believe in it. So I did believe in magic. I did believe in spells. However, I did also believe that it was like a power you had to unlock. So I was very sad that I did not have that power. I was like, oh, it kind of happens like being Peter Panned away, because my family believed in being Peter Panned away. I had a cousin that was older than me that was like, yeah, he's coming any day for me now. In a good way, because she wanted to go to Neverland. So, yeah, um, I think of course my answer is yes. And it was very subliminal though. I also felt like, and I'm not gonna lie, there is still a part of me that kind of feels that way, that magic in this sense is granted, right, to a select few. And I think that it's a grand power behind it, that unlocks it. So yeah, that's my answer.
That's a great ending.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You're welcome. Back to you.
Yeah.
Other
No,
side
it's
of the
just
bed.
it's very thought provocative of like, as a child, you felt like it was something that, like you would kind of sense it from people
Yeah,
that they've tapped into it.
exactly. Mm-hmm.
So you were able to sense the difference of almost people who believed in magic, maybe as an adult still, and those who had kind of let it go.
Exactly.
You could feel that.
Yeah. I definitely, and I will tell you, this is kind of silly too, because I've brought her up, and I brought her up in kind of a way that's like, she's kind of the opposite of magic, but I really did believe my grandma had that. She was, I don't know, there was something about her that I felt like she could always see more and feel more than she let me know. And maybe that's just, Hispanic kids and their grandmothers.
I think you're onto something there, because I'm gonna share something really similarly, actually,
Oh,
because
go for it.
it's because she's so devout, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I think that so for me, also being raised religiously, to be honest, I didn't believe in magic because I was told not to. Like I was told that it was all fake when I saw it on TV. And then all of these shows, like a lot of these shows that these ladies are talking about, like I couldn't watch them as a kid. I just couldn't. I would get caught. I got in trouble for watching Pokemon and Dragon Ball Z in the early mornings, right? Like when I was getting ready for school. And like so innocently, like not thinking I was doing anything wrong. Another side story, I was playing Pokemon cards with my friends in elementary school, and my mom came to pick me up. And this particular day, she walked to pick me up instead of just waiting in the car, snatched the cards out of my hand, told me and my crush, who I was playing with, that we were playing with like the devil's games. And then we went off, And so when it's expressed to you that way, I think it actually made my transition into recognizing like what all of that was, because I had this like dark cloud over it, for so long.
I'm not gonna lie. I think I'm more mad at your mom for killing your game with the guy. Come on, mom. Jesus.
I know she really.
I'm putting down some hard
the
riz right
road.
now,
She-
God.
I
she
like
cock-blocked me.
him.
I like
I did like him. I'll never
Aw.
say his name, never. But I did like him.
Like.
Anyway, so for me, the magic that I believed in was absolutely rooted in religion. Like I believed in the parables, I believed in the Bible stories. I believed that there was this beautiful spiritual side of the world that I couldn't access. And what's funny is I really thought of it as like, when I die, I'll have access to that side. Like when I die, I'll be an angel who walks among the earth, and I'll see the spirits that I can feel like in this world. And that was always so exciting for me. And I was always chasing that feeling, like chasing that feel of when the wind passes and something lingers. And like alone in my room when I'm reading the Bible, and like, just like things that come up, right? Things that strike you, those small, like looking for those small symbols that remind you that you're not alone, was huge for me as a child. And yes, it was rooted in religion, but it was happening like all over my life. But I think that a big contributor to that magic was my mom, because my mom is so in love with her relationship with God. And so she really does like to be raised by a woman who really does see him as a person, and like I grew up really thinking that my mom could see God, and that like he was with her and like walking with her, because those were the ways that she just spoke about it, like that was her truth. And so because I grew up with that understanding, like for me it was always right there, and when it's always right there, you're like, wow, I'm really seeing things that like maybe other people can see them, but like how cool that there are things in this world that we can know are there, but that we can't see, and that we're safe in that, right? Because then there's the other side of like, okay, there's also like negative spirits that are out there as well, but doesn't matter, right? If that's not where your energy goes, you don't have to worry about those. Which as a kid it was much easier to lean towards the positive and the good spirits that were watching over me. But it was a huge part of the magic that I believed in as a child was that magic that was connected to God, and like anytime I had fear or like just like those initial waves of any like negative emotion that I experienced at first, it was just so easy to like think of God and have him quiet that, and it was a miracle every time, you know.
That's such a good point, because I think as you were saying that, I was thinking of like how many times as a kid my mom or my grandma used to tell me when it was thundering and raining and lightning that, oh, that's God, or God is crying,
And they're feeding it.
exactly, or other people that would tell me, oh, don't worry, like don't be scared, the lightning and thundering are just having an argument. I was like, oh,
Well, that's the differential right
yeah,
there.
yeah, so much.
Still magic, but
That's really crazy. As you guys have heard in the other episodes, or if you haven't, now you'll find out. I wasn't really raised religiously. So, but I was raised very superstitiously. So, because I'm Peruvian Japanese, right? I think that influence comes a lot from the Japanese side because there is a lot of superstition
And
and
storytelling too, right?
yeah. So
Absolutely.
I mean, even like let's look at the Studio Ghibli films, right? There's such a subtle blend with magic and reality. And even things like, so in Japan, there's a ritual for the new year where that old things that have not been used, you burn them because if not, they become spirits and like that just wander the earth aimlessly, and they don't want that to happen to their items. And I feel like it's this kind of mm, blurred line between the real world and the mysticism that made it so easy for me to believe what I would see on TV, right? And also, to be fair, like, yeah, I was allowed that access to be able to play as much as I wanted. But my parents also did not explain a lot of things to me. So even things like I didn't have really a period talk from my mom, I had to figure that stuff out. So other things, there's pros and cons to everything, right? But at least when I was a kid, everything that I saw, like everything that they would tell to me was all rooted in superstition. And the magic for my family was rooted in superstition, which usually is bad, right? It's the bad things you shouldn't be doing. Like for instance, I always do this, but the toilet seat always has to go down because if not, the money goes down the toilet. Like all of that energy of
So you
the
put my
money.
toilet seat down?
Yes,
When you
that's
use
me.
my toilet? Wow.
So if you see the toilet seat down, it's probably me.
She was looking out for you, Kat. God.
Yeah.
Thank you for protecting me.
Yeah. When we're pouring rice, it's never one scoop. It's always two scoops, even if the second scoop is a single grain of rice, because that's bad luck. So things like that were just things that we did, and we did them because we did them. And if not, that was bad luck or something bad could happen. And those were the reasons why, right? And my mom believed in feng shui, and she would organize the room in that way. So for me, it was really easy to believe in the magic, and it's that was reality. There wasn't a separation between these two things, and that's why I think the movie like Kiki's Delivery Service is such a beautiful example of that, because it's just incorporated in the everyday life. My mom buys all of these feng shui little items, like this has to be put in the east room or whatever, or this will bring good luck or this. So I feel like that was also probably why I very easily leaned into tarot and crystals, because that's the background of my family, and even things like alternative medicine. To me, that's magic because that's something that is every day, but the healing powers that they have, that is magic in the real world that we live in, right? Every time when my throat was sore, my grandma and my mom would always tell me lime and honey, right? And just straight, or just do gargles with water and salt, and they would work. And so when I was little, I was like, who am I to question this? They know, they know what they're talking about. They're older than me. And that was the reality. And so for me, the answer is obviously yes. Like I did believe in magic when I was little. I still believe in it now. And I think that kind of leads into the next question. But that's kind of the reality that I lived in. And it's so interesting to hear the perspectives and the stories from you guys, because I didn't realize the different angle of magic that comes with religion, because I really saw religion when I was little not magic, not magical whatsoever. It was very rigid. It was very cold. I didn't really understand it. It was alien. I would see the holy water and I would go into church and I would hear, because when I was little, my parents would still go to church like most Sundays, I think. They would take us, or they would say things like, you have to say amen or whatever. Or I would see people drinking God's blood and eating his bread that was like his body part or something. And it was scary to me. Religion was scary to me. It wasn't magical. So it's so interesting to hear and understand that side of like, yeah, that's the magic of God talking with the rain or him crying or whatever that is. And for me, maybe it could have just been, I don't know. My brain probably would have thought like some fairy came in and started doing things like Fern Gully. That movie is such like,
Ooh.
you know what I mean? Like the kinds of films that I'm
The
pointing out.
animation of that movie is
right,
also just
right,
so
right in the
know.
millennial, right in the
and-
millennial.
And they're making a live action one, just so you know.
What?
Yes, girl.
Nothing like the
Oh my
animation.
goodness.
I
Yeah, it
still
won't
am going
be.
to
It
see
won't
it.
be,
It
but
won't
come on,
be.
for the
But-
memories.
Yeah, but
And the
that
memories.
kind of magic, right? I don't think I was into magic in terms of Harry Potter style magic. It was more.
Ooh, all of it. Give it to me all. I was like, yes.
Yeah, I don't know.
You're
When
a
I saw
wizard,
Harry Potter,
Harry.
I was like, okay, yeah. But for me, that was really easy to write off as like, no, that's just a movie. But movies like Ferngully, movies like Twitches, I have no idea why. Maybe it's like the style that they were filmed in. Um,
I would say Twitches and Harry Potter is closer than like Fern Gully and Harry Potter. I will say that.
yeah, but Twitches was when I was older. When I was little, it was definitely Ferngully, definitely studio like My Neighbor Totoro. They plant these trees. They came out of nowhere. They had this dream where Totoro comes in and they're doing this rain dance. Even that, right? And I still do this. Tess knows. So another magical thing that my family would do, and this came from the stories that my mom would tell me when she was little, is whenever it looked like it was gonna rain, and my grandpa would take her and her family to go to the beach. On the way to the beach, he would tell the kids, okay, get ready to do the chant. And so they do this little dance, like they would call it the little Indian dance. And basically it's just like us uh kind of pounding lightly a fist to our forehead alternatingly to the beat of the little chant, and we would just say, que salga el sol, que se vayan las nubes, que salga el sol, que se vayan las nubes. But we had to do it the entire way until we got to our destination. Every single time, by the time we got there, it would always be sunny. And to me, that was magical. And I think just even hearing all of us, it's like the power, whatever you put your mind in, that's where that power and the magic really manifests into reality.
And I think the other magical part of it is that there's no other reason why.
Yeah, no. You just believe
It's
it to be so.
gonna happen.
Yes.
And I feel like
It has to happen.
that's with religion, right? Like they just say you just have to believe in it
Exactly.
with
Yeah.
no other explanation.
Yeah. And it's funny
Interesting
because
parallel.
yeah, there's also a moment that, which I'm pretty sure, like saints, Catholicism, right? There's a saint for everything.
Yeah.
And my grandma used to tell me when I lost something as a kid, which happened a lot. When I lost something, that I had to pray to Saint Anthony because he was the saint of, lost souls and all these things. And I might be reiterating that incorrectly, so forgive me. But I would always be like, oh, Grandma, please stop. Like, no, help me find the thing. And I was looking for a Hamtaro plushie, which, by the way, I still have it. Okay. But maybe I could have lost it for good that day and let me tell you, I was young. I was maybe like 9, and I was so upset. I was looking everywhere at her house. I got so sad. I was crying. I told her, like, I lost it. I can't find it. I can't find it. She's like, pray to St. Anthony. Pray to St. Anthony. And I was like, no. And I was so determined.
Logical test
I
over
was
here.
like- I guess I was just too mad, to
Angsty
see.
Tess. It was angsty.
Yeah,
Tess.
I was too upset to like.
Angsty 9-year-old.
I was, yeah. And I went home and I was alone, and I said, okay, I'm going to pray to St. Anthony. So
Since
I
no
did.
one's around.
Yeah, since no one's around, she won't see my defeat. My grandma won't see me caving in. And I did. And I remember I looked, and I was on the phone. I called my dad from my house phone, and I was crying, and I was telling him I'm looking for my Hamtaro plushie. I can't find it. And he's like, well, where did you last put it? And I was like, I looked. I can't find it there. And I was literally after the prayer, mid-conversation with him, and I found it.
Do you remember where?
It was not where I last put it, by the way.
Interesting.
But it was in a pile of toys in the center of my room, as in my childhood room. And I was like, I remember the silence when that was on the phone. I was like, and my dad was like, "You found it," and I was like, "Yes." So he was like, "Okay, great, don't lose it." And then we hung up, and I remember holding Hamtaro and that Hamtaro plushie. It's not Hamtaro; it's another character. And I was looking at it, and I was like, "Saint Anthony is real."
That's so funny.
I
You
was
did
like,
it to her.
I was like, everyone else, I don't know, but Saint Anthony, that guy has got
He's
something
a
going on.
G.
He's a homie.
Yeah.
He pulled
Yeah.
up. You know, my parallel to St. Anthony, what movie was it? Halloween Town, I think. The Room of Lost Things.
Yes.
I totally believed whenever I would lose a song, it would
That's
be
where
there.
it went.
That's where it
100%.
went.
Oh my god.
100%.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
That was my St.
So
Anthony.
impactful. I also wanted to say, Pam, that I think that the big difference between like how like why you might have associated like religion with being not magical at all is because I do think that for the most part that's what church will teach you. I think that the
Exactly.
reason why like we have these like still other types of definitions of magic is because we got to experience it on a relationship level with our family members outside of church.
Exactly.
Because I really
Yeah.
do think that there are some undeniably magical things about the human experience that maybe pastors for some reason or priests don't think translate well to the general public because so many people are afraid of it. And so it's not preached in church.
Interesting.
It's got to be
Exactly.
more of like a one-on-one type of thing. And yeah, it's really interesting because I thought the same thing. You know, like, and I think that's why I had such a separation and didn't, but like that's why like concretely as a child, I don't believe in magic. But then talk to me about religion, I'm essentially saying that I believe in magic. You know, so like as an adult, I can recognize that I did believe in it. I just didn't think I did. I didn't know what it really was.
You know what pops into my mind? Those meme posts, at least that I've seen, probably because of the algorithm knows I'm into witchy stuff, where people, it's like those posts, right, that complain about Western religions and how they're so close-minded about other religions or even other kinds of magic, and they it'll be like they'll say that this is the devil's work or this is magic and it's bad essentially. But then they compare it to what they do, right? And it's like, but you're drinking the person's blood,
Yeah.
or you use the rosary,
Yeah, super ritualistic.
not rosemary. I learned from the last episode.
You're welcome.
You know, or like even blowing the candles out for happy birthday and making a wish, and then they say candle magic is like
Candle magic.
bad. So
Yeah, you're right.
I mean, and Catholicism uses candle magic too. Hello?
yeah,
Lent? Hello? What's that holiday? No, it's not a holiday. It's the thing
you
that
would
leads
know
up
better
to
than me.
Christmas. Oh God. My Catholics out there, help me. I don't
The
know.
king something.
No, maybe. I remember this because it was a series of candles that was kind of leading up to Christmas. And
Sounds like Hanukkah.
no.
Right. No, I know it's not, but I'm just saying.
But Hanukkah
the
also
parallels
candle
are
magic.
there.
Yeah. Literally Hanukkah, the whole lore is fire and oil and surviving.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You know, so
Absolutely magic.
magic.
Really was
Anyway.
magic.
But
I mean, but what else? Miracles. Hello.
Yeah. Yeah. Every miracle is magic.
Yeah, and
Totally.
and the one I'm thinking of is specific because I remember this. Like it was literally church session specifically designated to like this series of church goings that was leading up to Christmas, and it was like 4 candles, and the priest would light one at like a series. I can't
Was it like
remember.
Mary Magdalene's journey or something?
No,
Or the
no,
kids?
Catholics don't really talk about Mary
Oh, I don't
Magdalene.
know.
Advent.
Advent.
Is that where the Advent calendar comes from?
You know,
Yes.
that's a good point, maybe. But it's different because it's not like one every day. It's not a candle every day. That's Hanukkah.
Yes, there are only. All right. I was just making a parallel. There are 4 Advent candles, apparently.
There are 4. Yes. So they light them in a sequence. So candle magic. That's the only point I was trying to make. Candle magic everywhere.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So the last question that's going to wrap us up for today, and I guess I'll take the lead. on this one. Is, you know, we've talked about our childhoods, and I think naturally it's kind of had to bleed into a little bit of how we look at it in our adult life as well, because like we're also learning as we're saying this out loud and learning about each other. Is saying what we said about magic, like, is there anything that we think we've outgrown into our adulthood? And the reverse of that, what are the moments that we feel like we've held on to? So I definitely think that I've outgrown a lot of the daily magic. I think I've outgrown a lot of appreciating every second of every day, you know, and like feeling so exhausted at the end of every single day, which I think was something that as a child felt magical because it felt like, I don't know, time was a lot more magical as a child. You know, the idea that a summer felt like an entire school year, you know, and like as I got older, I definitely think I outgrew that, and I went more into a mentality of like I don't have enough time. You know, like it's never long enough. I always need more and more and more. But I think that as a child, I might have still not didn't want summer to end, but I definitely always felt like when I started school that day that I had done so much all summer. And it didn't matter if I went to summer camp or not. You know, like it was about what I would did with my time, you know, and where I feel like I was able to go creatively during that time. Um I think I may have also outgrown the magic of my family too. I think that as I got older, as all of us did, me and my cousins, we all just grew apart, and the family changed, the family dynamic changed. People grew into just different beliefs, and there was a little bit of bigotry, you know, and like on all sides. And it's unfortunate and it's sad, but it's so true. And it's so true for so many other families. And now I think that there's so much love. I love every single member of my family, but I think I've outgrown that magic of when we're all together. You know, I think that it is still magical, but it can't happen anymore. And so for me to still hold on to that is like maybe at a wedding, you know, like those moments can still feel pretty magical. But as you get older, you kind of just realize the reality, which is that your family is it's it has to be who you create it to be. And it can be your blood, you know, like it can be actual family members of yours. But my idea of family today is very different from what I viewed as a child. But I would say, you know, to talk about the things that I feel like I've held on to from my childhood magic, I love dreams. I love being able to, like I said, it's not really an escape from my world because I'm still in my own head, but I get so much clarity from my dreams, and I'm obsessed with deciphering dreams. And I also love when I get to share dreams with other friends and like helping them decipher their dreams and like figure out, you know, like what's going on in their head because I can learn so much about people from that dissection. And it's beautiful, it's fun, it's creative, it makes me feel childlike. And that's a great segue to the one magic that I'll never outgrow, I hope, to this day, you know, is the magic of feeling like I'm myself and only myself, and that I am 100% unique. One of my favorite moments from a film is the film Garden State. And it's a scene, and this is awesome. Our best friend Xavier is the reason why I love this movie so much. And Natalie Portman, is like super young in that movie. And she has a moment in the film, she's in her bedroom and she is like, oh man, I'm feeling weird. And so she makes this like super random, like crazy big movement. And she like begs Zach Braff's character to do it. And he's like very reserved and he doesn't want to do it. And she like finally convinces him to do it and he does it. And he's like, oh my God, I don't know how I feel. Why did you make me do that? And she was like, well, sometimes when I don't feel like myself or I don't feel special in the world, I like to do something that no one else has ever done before to remind myself that I'm unique. And ever since I heard that, it's my reminder of why I have to continually tap in and be just as in love with all of those little childlike moments that life presents me with. You know, great example, karaoke. Like I will never let go of being able to like hop up on stage and just be myself, be all out, be bad, right? Be bold, make big choices, and just live what my heart wants to do in that moment. You know, it's something that I did as a kid. It always stayed with me. And that feeling that I had afterwards, every time I performed, was magic. No one could tell me anything, you know, like I'm the G, not St. Anthony, love you. But I'm the G. Like after moments like that, like I feel like there's something confidence really does come from magic. Like I think that those little moments there, it's just for you, you know, and when it's just for you, it gives you a little taste of who you are that no one else is. And that's so special. And you have to hold on to those little nuggets. And I've held on to those my entire life. And they're not going anywhere. Yeah.
That's beautiful, Kat.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
What about some of yours? Actually, I
I
don't know who should go next.
I want to hand it over to Pam.
Okay.
I need time to think about mine. You gave me a lot to think about just
Okay,
now.
great.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay.
Dissect that.
So first, when you said the karaoke thing, the first thing that popped in my mind was the Just Dance sessions that we would have that would go on forever.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Talk about childlike.
Yeah.
'Cause we felt like we were adults when we were 16, okay?
Yeah, we totally did.
So wrong.
And like going to the most adult thing I think that felt for us, at least for me, was like going to the movies by ourselves.
Yes, every Friday.
Yep.
Every freaking Friday. You knew
Yeah.
where to find us.
Mm-hmm.
Outside
I-
Regal Cinema, baby.
Yeah, I went, and this is kind of like not by yourself, but when I went to the movies and summer camps, I was like, you do this like without your parents? So foreign to me. Anyway,
And that kind of ties into my answer, right? I'm gonna start first with the outgrown. I feel like I've outgrown the magic that comes with the unknown. Because when you're little, even at 16, what makes things feel so magical and in the moment is the fact that, oh my God, I get to do this? Is this what this feels like? You know, like can we really just go out and have fun and do whatever we want? And I feel like I felt a lot of that magic even in my younger 20s, when I got to go and explore Japan, like a lifelong goal of mine. And it's beautiful that you get to experience that and accomplish that, but it's almost like bittersweet, right? When you've done it, you're like, what now? What else is there to do? And so I feel like I've outgrown the mystery of discovering the unknown because obviously I'm older now. There's a lot of experience that I've been blessed to have. There's still more to come, I'm sure, that I don't know about. Had a little taste of it earlier today when I was babysitting my niece and my nephew. But yeah, I feel like I've outgrown that, and mainly just because there's not a lot to explore as much. And back to what you were saying in terms of you know that you'll never be at that point again with your cousins. It's the same thing, right? Because you kind of just grow older, and so the moment that time to be in the moment and play, I think is also something that I've not necessarily outgrown, but I just know it won't come back, right? And even if it were to be a wedding, even when it comes to my parents and their friends, because when I was little, we would have like my family would have this thing called tanamoshi, which is basically they tell me it's a Japanese tradition. I don't know if they actually did this in Japan or they brought it over and made it their own in Peru. But a lot of Peruvian Japanese people do this, and it's once a month that they get together and they go to a friend's house. And they told me that the origin of this tradition is because way back during war times when things were really bad, if somebody needed help financially, this was a great way to lift people's spirits and help the family in need. So basically what happens is that the host will provide the food and will provide beverages, and everybody comes and has a great time and pays per person, right? Almost like a fee to help cover the food and a little bit more. And so because of that, that's what my family gatherings looked like all the time. And that's where I would play with my family friend cousins and my family friend uncles and aunts. And the magic of being with them and hanging out with them, they're older now. We used to do karaoke up until 5 in the morning. Sometimes they did like stay up so late they'd help us clean and then have coffee to drive home. And that kind of magic of just enjoying life. They're older now. COVID also really um placed a huge hiatus on that tradition. And now people are older with their own families. My family cousins are older now. They have kids to take care of. We don't really follow that. And I honestly think out of all of my family friend cousins, I was the one that was most heavily involved with all of my uncles and aunts. And then my younger cousins who had to go just because they were younger. So yeah, those things I don't know if I'll ever experience again. Maybe at a wedding it won't be the same. But in terms of magic that I still hold on to, as I mentioned earlier, since it's something that is so embedded, right, in my lifestyle, in the superstitions that we do, it's just innate. It just happens. And so a lot of that will be the little things that I do, like put the toilet seat down, put that second scoop of rice. And now even more so, right, with tarot, with the crystals and saging my place if I feel like, oh man, it's been a rough week. I don't know what's going on with the energy astrologically, but you know what? I think we need a good cleanse here. And even if people were to tell me it doesn't work, it doesn't really matter to me because it helps me, right? And it works for me. And people could argue that nothing really happens, but it changes how I feel and it changes my mind and helps me get more clear about something or feel more relaxed, you know. And as long as it works for me, that's where the magic is. And something that I'd like to continue to hold on to, especially with my little niece and nephew, and eventually, hopefully, when I have kids of my own, is that magic of childhood that we just spoke about. Everything, Christmas, Halloween, the monsters under the bed, Even though those could be a little scary, sometimes it can be fun. So, yeah, those are the things that I want to hold on to.
That's so true. Way to bring it full circle too. Like, this question is really interesting, and I would love to kind of come back to this question. Could be years from now, like once there are kids in question between the three of us, like how does that magic feel? Because I do think that there's something that's ignited when you have a child about getting to tap back into their mind.
And make things real for them.
Yeah. Yeah. And like when it's real for them, then the questions, like you're constantly asking yourself that question, like, is this real to me? Like I know I want it to be real for them, but is it actually real to me still today? Because I really do think that a lot of parents surprise themselves in realizing how much of that magic is really still there. It's just that we choose not to see it anymore.
Yeah, I mean, we forget, being an adult, it's boring. It's exactly what those children films said it would be. You're caught up in work all the time. You don't. It's like
here.
Way to bring the coziness out in front and center,
Just get closer. Cry.
Huddle.
Jesus.
But I mean, am I wrong?
Look.
Tess, do you have anything that can possibly uplift this moment?
Well, okay, before I do that, Pam, you got anything else to say?
No, I guess that'll be it.
Okay, great. All right. So anyway, guys, I know I mentioned this earlier where I had said, playing pretend. I still do it now. I guess I'm going to start with things that I have held on to. I still kind of hold on to playing pretend. When I was 16, when I was 17, I was performing theater in high school, and yeah,
I'll always shout out actor Tess.
Yeah. And when I was up there, it definitely felt like magic too. I was like, wow, this is the perfect, like, I felt like this is what my childhood and my love for movies prepared me for. shooting Love of Chain out in the theater, metaphorically, obviously, because it was my power, right? And just, loving creating drama and comedy and being caught up in the moment. And that has still carried on into me being an adult, working an office job, because I'm very thankful that even in my job, I get to be imaginary and playful. And I still whip out a British accent in front of my coworkers just when I feel like something is, really fancy.
Add a little spice.
Yes.
We love a little
I
spice
I
every now
like
and again.
I like saying things in British sometimes, saying it's
We
Tuesday.
should do an episode like this.
Yeah.
Would it
It-
drive you insane?
British
Not
people
me.
are real magical,
I've heard-
non-imaginary things that remind us of the fantasy in every day.
Nanny McPhee, Harry Potter.
Yes.
Yes, it's so true. We've already talked about that.
Yeah.
Also, technically speaking, I
Poppins.
believe their podcasts do a little bit better than ours. People don't like American accents.
People don't like American accents.
Well,
Well, that just goes to show, right? We're all kind of secretly wishing every like fantasy movie that spoke British is real.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. So I still do that at work, and I'm thankful and I'm surrounded by people who entertain me and entertain that, right? Really, most importantly.
but the real question is, do they join you?
They do.
Great,
They do.
love it.
It's contagious. I'm telling you. It's contagious. A British accent is contagious. Just like, you just saw it right now.
I know nothing of the sort.
It literally happened
I
right
know not
now.
what she speaks of.
Live. You all saw it and
Lies.
heard it.
All
I
lies.
started and then Kat and Fam just felt it, and that's honestly things I still hold on to. Playing pretend, even if it's in the minuscule of things that like, I just want to turn this phrase to you. Can I ask you for a favor? Like things that just sound a little softer and British. And that's just a little pretend that I bring with me every day at work and in my daily life. Honestly, I'm not even at work, and it came out here, and it came out literally almost every other point in the conversation with Pam and Kat before we started recording. So there you go. I've definitely also, which I'm going to agree with my ladies here, kind of outgrown the family magic. Now, my reasons are a little bit varied, which I think we all kind of agreed on as well. But I just want to say that there is definitely still a magic when I'm around people I love and I trust and I share these silly moments with. And I've really felt that, especially with the women in my life. Not to say that any man, any male identifying figure in my life has been any less significant, but it's just something about shared female women experiences that kind of remind me that there is this strand that binds us all together, and through right moments of need, kind of like an ode to like Tanamoshi, right? Did I say that right? Like Tanamoshi was kind of in a time of need. And when you said that, I thought of like, that is something I do feel, but it's a little bit broader and not as pinpointed. Like it doesn't address a certain issue like Tanamoshi does, but I feel like so many times, especially now in this age, I can have a conversation with someone that I really love and really trust and find so many parallels, right, in what we experienced, which we were just identifying together now, with childhood magic. But it's really softened me these past years because, I will say that I was somebody who, even as a teenager, right, which we kind of go back to, which is like the the limbo era of magic, right? Like we still kind of believe in magic, but it changed. It turned into grunge somehow. Like, I don't know. But I still kind of felt it really awkward to make connections with people, right? I thought like I shouldn't do that because it made me vulnerable. And oh, like, if I relate to somebody, they're going to think I'm weak. How silly is that? Right? How dumb is that? And now, as an adult, as someone who has even gone through more and now can at the same time feeling a little bit more risky getting vulnerable, still feel very confident, like you were saying, Kat. Because I know that person on the other end, whether it be you guys listening now or someone that I'm having a one-on-one conversation with, will find something, will react, will listen at the very bare minimum. And that is just magical. There's no other word for it.
It's the sisterhood of the traveling pants.
Yeah. And there are definitely men out there that are part of the sisterhood too. So don't, be Allens. That's a reference to Barbie, but definitely. Yeah.
Yeah, I loved this episode. I think it was the perfect balance of light, fun. I had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So did I.
This was a lot of fun.
So did I.
Huh?
So did
Did
I.
you?
I had lots of fun.
Yeah, it was.
Ja.
It was kind of smashing.
Smashing.
Yeah.
Smashing.
I liked
Brilliant.
it. Yeah.
Yes.
All right.
So now it's time for the tarot part, the magical part of our episode. And today we're going to use the Modern Witch Tarot deck. I thought it was very appropriate for what we're going to be talking about today. So we had some yummy tea that got us all nice and cozy.
So good.
Talked about all the magical experiences of childhood, got into a little bit of a British accent and
Little bit, pip, pip.
went across the pond. Is that
So-
what they say?
Across the
Went
pond.
Across the pond.
It's what we say.
It is what we say.
So good. So
So
good.
now let's see if the gods have anything else to tell us about maybe something we should remember, how to keep that magic alive. I think that's what I'm going to ask the cards today. Interesting. Okay. Let's see. Oh, I love this. Okay. So the card that completely popped up this time, and thank you, Kat, I think I can grab it now.
Of course.
So the card that popped out straight at me was the Two of Pentacles. I just want to check my book really quickly. Okay, so the card that popped up is the Two of Pentacles, and the image that shows here for the Modern Witch tarot deck. So this tarot deck is really beautiful, and it's a really good deck to pick up if you want to learn tarot, because the imagery is based off the Rider-Waite, which is what I had mentioned in our tarot episode, is one of the easier tarot decks to study with, because each of the minor arcana also have images that make it easier to remember, because you can associate meanings with those images, right?
Yeah, narrative images. I think is a good way of saying it.
Yes, thank you. They have narrative images that help depict what the card is, the meaning of the card. And in this tarot deck, it's almost like in a Modern Witch style. So it's the same narrative images with a different aesthetic over them. And so this one shows a woman with beautiful curly hair and trying to balance two pentacle coins. And conjoining the two pentacle coins is the infinity symbol. And so the Two of Pentacles in the tarot deck's book says, you're experiencing all the busy challenges of everyday life and handling it gracefully. You're in sync with the rhythms of the world, and every movement and decision feels like a perfectly orchestrated dance. As long as you're adaptable, flexible, you'll be able to continue this dance. And the bottom of the deck is the Two of Wands. So sometimes I'll look at the bottom of the deck just to see any additional messages. And usually I use it as additional guidance or potential results of what, like, if you accomplish what the cards are trying to give you advice, like what that could mean. So for the Two of Wands, wand is, and for the Pentacles is earth energy, right? It's usually indicates material items, this 3D world that we live in. It's also the slowest moving energy. Wand energy is fire. It's very quick moving. It's very changing, right? Just like fire is. And sometimes maybe a little bit hard to control. And so, and it's also, it's just action, right? And so the Two of Wands is usually indicative of adventure, of a trip. So in this image, we have a black woman with a beautiful turban on her head. She has a phone with her. The other staff is just there magically standing. She's holding the other staff. She's in powerful heels, might I add, and she's looking outward, right? And the Two of Wands says, "You're a commanding presence looking down on the world below you. The phone in your hand holds questions while you wonder what to do and where to go next. You've had success lately, but are a bit uncertain about your next steps. It's not time to rest yet, though. Don't get distracted and stay fixed on your goal." Oh, how beautiful. And behind that is the Strength card. So I think what the cards are trying to tell us, and I think it's kind of funny that the Two of Pentacles is saying that you're busy with your everyday life, right? So I think it's trying to tell us that yes, in as you grow older and maybe where you're at now, you might be busy. There might be a lot of stuff to do. I know all the three of us are having kind of a hectic week this week, and at the time of filming this, it's literally the start of the school year. So there's a lot of things to prepare for. A lot of people are in a very busy, chaotic energy at the moment. But there's still a balance. And what the card says in there is that everything is still okay. You've got it. You've got the grace. You just have to adapt and be flexible and be versatile. And then we have the bottom of the deck, which is the Two of Wands, which I think to me is so beautiful because two is like a pair, right? And it's almost like a perfect synchronicity, perfect pairing. It's perfectly divisible. And the Two of Wands is this sense of adventure, and it's almost like leaning into that uncertainty. Even if you don't know where to go, even if you don't know how to make the magic start, just go out there and explore and question, right? Like like the description said, the phone holds all the questions, but she goes out and she's looking outwards. So that could mean for some of you, if there are any doubts that you're holding in about where you might find that magic or if magic is even real, we can acknowledge that and it's there. But as with the phone, there's so much information out there. There's so much information overload, and there's a lot that we have to do to kind of filter through it. But she's not really paying attention to her phone. She's looking outwards. She's looking towards the vast distance. There's mountains behind her. There's like a cityscape on the right side, and there's a beautiful body of water on the left. And that's where she's looking at. She's looking at that beyond the vastness. And honestly, when I see the water, it kind of reminds me of when I took a trip to the West Coast and I saw the Pacific Ocean. I think as far as any body of water that I've seen, that is my favorite by far. And the feeling that I felt when I was on that boat to go whale watching and just looking at the ocean, I immediately understood the feeling of what sailors, of what pirates meant when they said the ocean called to them. And it's leaning into that mystery, into that unknown, into knowing, not knowing where you're going to go or where you're going to end up, but you just know that you want to enjoy the journey, right? So I think that's where you can find the magic. If you're feeling that you're not sure how to do it, or maybe kind of like myself, I've believed in it before, but I've been too busy to go into it, right? I mentioned that in our other episode that even when it comes to tarot and my crystals, that I haven't had the time to go into it. And even what we were saying now before, when we were little, summer felt like an eternity and we had the time to enjoy all of that and be present and in the moment. So I think that's really what the cards are trying to tell us. And this could look in various different ways, right? It could be go out in nature and go on a hike and go explore, or go on a trip, or go and be with your family or your little niece and your nephew who are wanting to play with you and explore the unknown through them, right? So lean into all of that and do that fiercely, unapologetically. No, as we mentioned earlier, right? Magic is confidence. And so do that without any regrets, with no doubts, because both of these women, might I add, in nature and doing all of these things, they are in heels. It hurts, but we're doing it, and they're doing it in confidence and in power.
Confidence.
So
Style.
that is what the cards have for us tonight.
I love that. And they're both such beautiful images.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely, definitely take a look at them. Even if you're just tuning in, these images are gorgeous. I love this deck. I think this is actually one of my favorite decks that you've brought out so far.
Yeah, it's one of
Yeah,
my
the
favorites
images are really
too.
doing something.
The
for me.
Modern Witch Tarot deck.
Yeah,
Mhm.
the Modern Witch. Well, friends, thank you so much for that reading. That
No
was really
problem.
beautiful. I always think that our readings are so perfect and well connected to our energy, but I hope that this one in particular is just a reminder that, you know, like for me, an immediate reflection of the episode, talking about the things that I felt as a child and already talking about those things that I outgrew. I hope that that doesn't remain true for the rest of my life. You know, like I hope that some of the things that I feel like I outgrew at this time, I hope that something changes, you know? And I don't know if that changes within me or like just my life situation, right? For better or for worse, I know it's always towards good. And um I really do believe that the magic of childhood is the magic of me, the magic of you, and
Well said.
it's always going to be there. You know, it's just about finding that time to check in with yourself and go back. So thank you for going back with us today. Any closing thoughts, ladies?
Wow. Okay. Magic is you. Magic is, even though I feel like we dwelled in the past, today that's definitely a superpower that everybody has. Kind of tap into what was and bring it into who you are today. Like you're saying, Count, like we did outgrow things, but maybe there is a time where it helps us today. So, yeah. I'm really thankful for little Tess. And I feel like I spent a little time with her today, so I'm thankful for that.
Yeah, for me, I think the only thing that I want to say is I hope this episode brought some magic in your day. And if not, I am definitely going to be making some sort of potion brew or anything to bring that magic into your guys' lives.
Thank you, Pam.
You're welcome.
We appreciate it.
Boom. High Tea Mystique, always looking out for you.
Yeah.
That's right. So, with that being said, thank you all for tuning in with us today. We love what you guys have to say about our episodes, so please send us some feedback our way. If you guys made it this far to the end of our episode, let us know if you enjoyed it, what your favorite part was. If you want to take our prompt and also answer those questions, we would absolutely love to hear your responses. What the heck? Like, please send us that info. And then also there was an episode topic that we mentioned earlier today. If you guys would like us to do an entire episode about dreams
Dreams
coming up in the future, let us know. And we are currently in the process of planning our spooky season release. And we may or may not be open to suggestions and recommendations for topics.
Always
So,
open.
if you guys want to drop any of those, any like fun, hot, spicy topics that you'd like us to get into regarding spooky season.
And if I could add, I think it'd be really fun if there's something that you guys would even like us to investigate that could be supernatural or could be mystical that you've just always were curious about, send it our way. Let us know. And I'm sure we would be more than happy to look into it
We'll tap
and
in.
add it into our episode.
Yeah.
Are you a true crime girly? Are you a
I'm a
myths and
mythbuster.
legends
Are you
girly?
a murder mommy?
Yeah,
Ooh.
murder mommy or daddy, murder daddy or mommy. Even though they're mostly mommies. Let's be real.
And with that, thanks, y'all. Enjoy the rest of your day. May you feel a little bit more magical than you felt before. And we'll see you next time on High Tea Mystique.
Bye.
Love your childhood.
Bye bye now.
Bye.
See you later.
See you on the other side.
See ya.